This is a video that I shot a few months ago. Obviously I have a horse post-mortem, so that does involve cutting up a horse. If that's not something which you want to watch, I suggest finding another video to watch. But if you are interested in it and find out what was the cause of death, then yeah, keep watching. So a little bit of backstory to this case. She was a mare and she had just foaled that night and she was found dead in the morning. They have a camera set up in her stable and it showed her foaling perfectly normally, and she was attentive to a foal, and then about 15 minutes after passing the foal she started to walk out of camera shot and out into the outside area where she was a little bit ataxic, so a little bit wobbly, and they found her just like this in the morning. So having a quick look over her, first of all, the most obvious sign is she's got a prolapse, and it's a uterine prolapse. She's also, even though she is dead, she's still exceptionally pale as well around the gums, which I checked a wee while ago. The foaling itself was pretty normal. There wasn't anything adverse about the foaling. It was quick, it was happening in perfect time, and the foal itself is doing really well. These are the membranes still attached to the uterus, so she didn't have time to pass her membranes, and inside her she is pretty cold, so she's been dead a good few hours really. I think from memory the camera showed her foaling at around 1 PM in the morning, so I think by the time we're doing this post-mortem it's around 8:30, 9ish. So I'm opening up the side. She's got a fantastic layer of fat, so she's in really good condition. I also checked just before her udders, making sure that there's no sign of mastitis, no sign that she went toxic because of toxic mastitis. And this is the first abnormality, opening up the abdominal cavity and getting all that blood out. It's not too unusual to get a little bit of fluid around the organs, but this amount of fluid, and particularly being blood tinged, is very abnormal. Generally speaking, with post-mortems there is actually very little free blood, so particularly around the abdomen. And now I'm just beginning to take the guts out of her to have a look at the guts, because main sign of one thing which I am considering is if she's got a twisted gut and colicked really badly. So this is a large intestine, and it folds round the abdomen, so it's a case of just unpeeling it all. And what I'm looking for in the guts are discoloured guts, almost blacky, purpley coloured guts. Again, because we pulled out a blood clot, that means that she had bled into that area before she actually died. She shouldn't be really clotting with blood at this moment in time, and she shouldn't be bleeding. She's been dead too long. And yeah, just getting into the abdominal cavity, there's a huge amount of blood and a huge amount of blood clots. So that's really the first clue of what might have happened to her. So I'm just taking out all the guts now, try to get a good view of all of them, and again looking for that discoloration. I pop the guts there because after death they obviously bloat up a lot with all the bacteria in them, and just taking the gas out does actually make for a lot more room. Just working my way through the mesentery so I can properly eviscerate her. And so far all the guts are looking pretty good. No signs of abnormality, and all that blood is really already in the peritoneum. So what I'm doing now is by pulling out the guts, we're seeing that the prolapse is actually emptying. So the intestines themselves have actually forced their way into the actual prolapse. Now, what I was expecting to see, if this had happened when she was alive, I would have expected a lot of congestion and blood actually filling up around that intestine in that actual prolapse sac. But because the guts are still very much the same colour as the rest of the guts, which is a nice normal colour for a freshly dead horse, so to speak, it makes me think that this gut passage into the actual prolapse happened post-mortem and happened after death and wasn't a cause of the death itself. So that really just fills us in with the next question of what came first. Did the horse die first, or was the prolapse related to the death? Sorry, I didn't phrase that very well. Did the horse die first and then prolapse after death, or did the prolapse cause the death, which is still yet to be confirmed. Right, I'm moving my way up towards the cranial aspect of the abdomen, so which means the head end of the abdomen. So this is where we found most of the blood clots, and I don't know if you can see just below where my hand is, there's a huge pool of blood. I'm looking at the liver. Liver's looking reasonably normal. And that's a lovely gooey shot. And all that is blood clot. So all that happened when she was alive and before she died. So what we are sort of suspecting at this moment in time is that due to the foaling happened normally, but a major vessel tore and hemorrhaged. So we found a twisted part of the gut, but if this twist had actually happened when the horse was alive, it would have occluded all the blood vessels and you've got that purpley black change in the actual gut colouring. So that twist happened after death, and we are going looking for what caused all these blood clots. My suspect was that one of the major vessels around the liver actually hemorrhaged, whether it be the hepatic artery or the portal vein. I don't think, given the pictures on the camera, that if it was a caudal vena cava, if a vessel that size had ruptured, it would have caused death much sooner. So we're just very quickly looking at the thorax now. There's really not much to actually see abnormal in the thorax. The heart and lungs all looked really good. A little bit pale, but she's dead, and also there's an awful lot of blood in the abdomen itself. And I'm just going looking behind this liver, trying to identify if we can actually find the vessel in question which actually ruptured. So what I think happened with this girl is that she foaled, the pressure of foaling, and it just spontaneously happened, and she bled internally into her peritoneum. That would explain generally why she went wobbly. She was feeling pretty faint after that amount of hypovolemic loss, so she was going into shock after losing that blood internally. So she wobbled out of the foaling pen and out of shot of camera, where she lay down and died. It wasn't a violent death, which is obviously very good. There's no thrash marks or signs that she's been rolling or thrashing heavily, which you would expect in a severely bad colic. But with the prolapse itself, I suspect that because she'd only just foaled, all the ligaments, all the uterus was nice and relaxed, very flexible, very movable, and once she had died, the gas build-up in her guts increased pressure, and it was this increase of pressure which actually caused her to prolapse actually after death. The prolapse itself is actually a bit of a red herring and actually happened after she died, and she died due to the blood loss from this vessel just behind the liver. The foal, just a heads up on foal, the foal was doing really well. The carer who was looking after the mare stripped out all the colostrum that she could from the mare's udder and fed it to the foal, and I think the last time I saw a foal was a few weeks ago, and that's doing really well on a brood mare which adopted it.